Welcome. I'm Linda Topping-Streitfeld. I'm the Director of Programs for the National Press Foundation. I'm very happy today to be partnering with Jeremy Art. Jeremy is a digital and social media specialist at C-SPAN, and he's going to walk us through the process of finding and using the video archive, which C-SPAN has been collecting for years and which some of us have found is really valuable in doing daily journalism. For those who don't know us, the National Press Foundation is a nonprofit. We're based here in Washington, D.C., and our mission is to improve the work of journalists both here in the U.S. and around the world. We do educational programs on special topics, basic journalism, and new media skills. We hope that everybody who is joining us today will be part of this program, particularly by asking questions. You can do that by typing your questions into the chat box. I'll be monitoring them, and we'll get to as many questions as we have time for. By tomorrow, we expect to have a recorded version of this webinar available at our website. So if you need to go back and review, or if you want to share it with a friend, you can do that by going to nationalpress.org. Now, Jeremy, I'm so glad you're here today. This is an amazing tool, I think, for journalists. Can you give us a sense of how much material is there on C-SPAN? What does it cover? What can we potentially find?
Well, this is obviously, I mean, there's a lot there, and it's something we're talking a lot about at the office right now. C-SPAN has been around since 1979, and we now have 3 networks to show all sorts of things on Capitol Hill, Washington, and across the country. And here in the video library, we are now approaching 200,000 hours worth of programming. So we're at, and I've pulled it up on the screen, but we don't need to show it right now. We're at 199,909 hours. So sometime in the next week or so, we're going to pass 200,000. So it's a pretty big, milestone for us, and we'll just keep going from there.
And I think that number is some evidence of the fact that you have to know what you're doing. If you're going to dig through almost 200,000 hours of video resources, you really need to know how to go about it in order to find what you're looking for without spending
Exactly. Exactly. No one's got 200,000 hours to spare. So knowing what you're looking for, and the more information you have on what you're looking for, the easier it's going to be.
You know, I've noticed one very famous person who I'm sure everybody's familiar with, who's really made an art out of finding exactly what they're looking for in that archive, and that's Jon Stewart. Are you guys able to monitor that in any way? I mean, how?
For those of us who can stay up late enough to watch Jon Stewart, we do watch it. We don't keep track in any sort of official capacity, but we do see, and one of the things I enjoy seeing is how quickly they can find things in the video library and then use them in that day's show. So yes, they use it quite often. A lot of other people do, but he is very good at it, his entire team.
All right. Well, we're looking forward to your presentation so all of us can become just as skilled as the staff at Jon Stewart. So why don't you
Great.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much. First, I'm just going to get confirmation that you're seeing my screen. Okay, we're good to go. So first of all, I'm going to try, I know it's a little bit blurry, so I will zoom in as much as possible so folks can see it. First of all, just a brief history of C-SPAN. C-SPAN started in 1979, and the first speaker, which I actually have here, was Al Gore on the floor of the House. So they came into session, and the first speaker was Al Gore.
Mr. Speaker, on this historic day, the House of Representatives opens its proceedings for the first time to televised coverage. I wish to congratulate you for your courage in making this possible.
So, just a bit of history, and then in 1987 is when we started digitally archiving all of our material, and it's here in the video library. Now, the first tip I usually tell people, if you're searching for something recent, hearing that's happening today on Capitol Hill, before you go for a search, just go on our main page down here to most recent videos, and it's going to show things that have been happening today. So if you want to look at the House votes that have been happening this morning, or at the IRS spending hearing that the House Oversight Committee has been happening, as you can see, they had to take a break for the House votes, so part 1 is here on the right, part 2 is on the left. Those might not be chronicled yet in our system, so instead of searching for Darrell Issa, who's the chairman of the committee, you can just go down here and find it since it was recently shown. That's usually the first tip I'd say if you're trying to find something that you're watching or just saw on one of our networks. However, usually you're looking for something that's older, and we're going to do a search. So I will do the first search I always do is just for Obama. Now, when you do a search, you're going to get various results. We're going to do this again. And those are people results, program results, and timeline results. First, the people, obviously you can see over here on the left, are people who have the name, have been in appearances with Obama. But first, we'll just click on his bio page right here, and you can see him up top. So we'll click on President Obama, and you can see here in his bio page every title he's had when he's been on C-SPAN, and then it'll load all the appearances down here. So if you were searching for one specific appearance and happen to know the year or who is with, you can look down here. A lot of people, the first time they heard of Barack Obama was at the 2004 Democratic National Convention with his keynote address in Boston, Massachusetts. I'm not going to play this, but this is the first time he was really exposed to a national audience.
Acting white. They know those things. Be an option sometimes, but
I'm sure most of you have seen this speech. But an interesting piece of trivia, he was on C-SPAN 6 years before that for a discussion. I'll just pull this up very briefly. Let's see if we can find him in here. Actually, I think he might be in the other one. Hang on a second.
Or order a copy by calling 1 public.
There he was.
Also health of service nation.
Hang on, we'll find him. There he is.
Don't have access to markets right now. I think that the broader
So 6 years before he was exposed to a national audience, he was on C-SPAN. And we find this often with people who enter national spotlight via the White House or Congress, that they have been on a panel in a discussion that C-SPAN may have covered years before. But let's go back to the search. If you don't know specifically what you're looking for in all those years, but you want to find something more specific, we can click on View More Appearances, which is on the right side of the bio page. And this takes us back to our search, but it's searching just for his appearances. Now, we can narrow things down and add something like Medicare. And now it's going to start searching for programs just where Medicare is mentioned, either in the tag of the program or in the transcripts. You can also do an advanced search. So up here in the top right-hand corner, I'll click on advanced search. And again, the more information you know, the better. So if we do something like type in person's name, and I'll just use Bush. And if we type in a date, such as January 20th, 2001, which I'm sure, as you all know, was Inauguration Day, then we will see that here in the results, we've done just a search for Bush, Inauguration Day, and we get 3 programs after the inaugural, during the parade, and then the ceremony itself. So it's very easy to narrow that down, because if you went just to George W. Bush's page, you can see that he has over 2,200 appearances. So if you want to find something from one specific day, that's how you can narrow it down, just by date. There are other filters here on the left, so you can do just public events. You can, furthermore, here's our date filter. So let's say you want to change this and just do the year before the election. You can just move these handles or click on the date here, and a calendar will pop up for you. That's all you have to do. Those are the basics about the search. I'm sure a lot of you have gone here and searched before. Those are kind of the basics. Back here on the home page, we're going to talk about clipping next, because obviously one of the great things about the video library is being able to clip one part of a program. So rather than sending this video to a friend or tweeting it out and saying, hey, go to the 2 hour and 52 minute mark of this video, you can simply say, watch this clip. I'm going to use yesterday's funeral service for Senator Lautenberg as an example. The ceremony was 2 hours and 45 minutes long. A lot of mentions today in social media and other places about Joe Biden's eulogy. Well, you could watch the entire 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Good luck.
Hillary Clinton spoke, but you could also find Joe Biden in here. Let me see where he started. I think he went after Hillary. So here's Joe Biden, okay? And I'll try to find out where he began, which looks like right around here. When I find where I want to clip, I'm going to hit clip down here right below the player. And it's going to pop up this window. Now, these handles here, this one on the left is where your clip would start, and this one here on the right is where it'll end. Right now, there's no set times except for the entire program. I know I want to start it right here at the 1 hour and 55 minute mark. Rather than dragging this over, I'm going to hit the set in button right up here on the video, and that moves it all the way over. That's my action shot for the entire webinar. We then know we can watch the entire thing. We can drag this. He spoke for a while. And so it looks like here he's done. He's just sat down. So I'm going to end it right here at the 2:25 mark. And I'll hit set out. I can also click on these and move it just a second or two, however I want. And once I've got my clip times set, I'm going to add a title and a description. So I'll say VP Biden remarks. I usually, just to make it simple, use the same thing here in the description. And once that's set, I'm just checking. I'm going to hit share clip. I'm going to hit email copy, although there are other options. And here's my link. And then if I plug this in up there, rather than sending an entire video to someone, it brings up a page that I've created, VP Biden remarks. And as you can see, this is only 29 minutes long, and when you hit play,
every weekend, the same chord.
It starts right where I told it to go, and will only go to the point at which I told it to finish. So you can make clips that are 29 minutes long. You can make ones that are 10 seconds long. It is entirely up to you. You'll also see, you may have noticed, that my name is attached to this. You can create an account here in the video library. It's up top. It's free. All you need is a username, password, basically, and then you can archive all the clips you've made. And so I actually have mine opened. I've made a lot of clips over the years. So I've made 238 clips. I should probably edit this down. But rather than having to go back and find something in an email, I can just go here in the video library. That is basically clipping. At this point, before I go on, are there any questions that have popped up?
Not so far.
Not so far.
You're explaining things so clearly, nobody has a question.
Excellent. Just making sure. Okay. Before I go into some other clips, let's just do, this is something I sort of tested, but we'll see. One of our call participants, I think I looked ahead of time, is Matthew Cooper. So I'm going to type in Matthew's name. Matthew is a reporter with the National Journal. He's been on C-SPAN several times. So we're going to see if he pops up. Here's his bio page. And you can see every time he's been on C-SPAN. I'm going to go back to 2003 because it's not always just, you know, things related to the House and Senate. We do have the Funniest Celebrity in Washington contest. And several people have done this over the years, senators, journalists. And so if we want to find Matthew Cooper in this, it's 2 hours and 21 minutes. And rather than go through and find it, kind of like I did with Biden, I'm going to type in our timeline results down here, which is based on closed captioning, just Cooper. And I can see at about it looks like he's mentioned for the first time about the 7-minute mark. So if I click on that, it'll go to that part of the video.
That's it.
Let's see if he's next. So there's Matthew Cooper. And we're not going to play any jokes. I haven't pre-screened these jokes. So we'll just say that's how you can find it. And then, obviously, you could clip just his routine in the Funniest Celebrity in Washington contest. My colleague at C-SPAN, Howard Mortman, has done the Funny Celebrity in Washington competition a couple times, and we have obviously clipped those and sent them around at various times. A couple things I'll say. Just first of all, the video library has been used in campaigns. We've seen several candidates, presidential candidates, senatorial candidates, use the video library in campaign ads. We're always kind of excited when we see that happen. But things can also be newsworthy. I will use Jay Carney as an example. Years ago, before Jay Carney was White House press secretary, he was a reporter with Time magazine. And so we did an interview with him. And I'm going to play this clip as soon as it loads. Okay. Hope you guys can hear this.
You know, the best press secretaries were very deft at serving both their boss, the president, the White House, the administration, and the press, and not. And it's a tricky job. I'm sure I wouldn't be any good at it, but not.
I'll just pause it right there of him saying it's a tricky job. I'm sure I wouldn't be any good at it. And if you type into Google Jay Carney tricky job, you can see that when it was announced that he was press secretary, that was the lead in the New York Times and several other publications as well. And of course, there's always the C-SPAN mention. So we enjoy that. Another part of the video library is the Congressional Chronicle. It's this red bar here. This deals specifically with things just on the Hill in Congress. So if you zoom in here, you're going to see schedule, you'll see members. I always like to see which members have appeared the most on the floor. So you can see for this Congress, it is Sheila Jackson Lee. That, to anyone who really knows the House well, knows that that's not a huge surprise. And then down in the Senate, you can always see that those with the most appearances are usually the leadership. So Harry Reid, Mitch McConnell, and Dick Durbin. There are all sorts of statistics here with time, and you can do everything from bill search to just going to a day, just seeing what happened on a certain day. If I go to March of this year and click on March 6th, we kind of all thought March 6th was going to be a slow day in Washington because basically the government was shut down because it was possibly going to snow that day. But for those of you who know, there was a filibuster that day by Rand Paul. It's our most recent filibuster. Now you can go here to the Congressional Record and look at the timeline. I always like doing this. And it shows all the people who speak. So this is kind of normal, but then you can see when he started, it's just a long line there. So there's Rand Paul. You can go to that video. You can clip parts of it because he spoke for over 12 hours. Or you can watch the entire thing if you like. That obviously got a lot of views for us.
So Jeremy, our viewers would like to know, once they find the clip they're looking for and they get it set, how do they embed it on their own website or blog? Or?
That's a great question. So I'm not sure. Let's see if it is basically the same thing as clipping. So once you clip something and you've made your clip, and I'll go to the Biden clip that we made of his eulogy yesterday. Once this loads, next to the clip button down here on the bottom, you're going to see a share button. And if you clip that, it comes up with all these share tools, and your embed code is over here on the right. So on every video, we'll just pick something else. This is the Agriculture Secretary Vilsack yesterday at the National Press Club. You've got your clip button down here. We'll zoom in again. And you've got your share button. So if you hit share, now I can't zoom out. If you hit share, your embed code is over here on the right. You hit copy and have fun embedding that wherever you see fit. So that's the answer to that question, basically.
People are also wondering, you mentioned that political candidates have used clips from C-SPAN in their advertising. Do you ever worry about how those things are being used, whether quotes are being taken out of context, made to seem like something other than what they are, or does C-SPAN take a hands-off attitude?
C-SPAN is very hands-off. We're nonpartisan, and so, I mean, we've seen Democrats, Republicans, we've seen all sorts of people use this, whether it's the candidates themselves or organizations using it. We've seen it there as well. So, yeah, we are very much hands-off. We try not to get too involved. I mean, if we do need to get involved because our video is being used improperly, and there is stuff here about rights and restrictions and licensing if anyone has this question on our About page. So without going into any detail, but typically we don't.
Mm-hmm. And have you ever had a request from anyone to censor something? Let's say someone says something on the House floor and later they regret it. Do they come to you and say, could you just cut out that 30 seconds because that's not me?
It hasn't happened in my experience, and whether or not it's happened at all, I can't speak with 100% certainty. But I can't think of any time or story that I've ever heard where we have taken anything down because it was requested by the person who said it themselves. But there's 200,000 hours in here, and I'm sure there are one or two things that people would like to change.
I'm sure there are. What is your most popular, the most popular clip ever? Do you know?
Most popular clip ever? That's actually a great question. We've got down here below, aside from most recent, we have most watched programs, and then we've got our most popular clips. And sometimes it just takes a minute to load. If this doesn't load in a second, we'll find out. There are some pretty popular Tea Party clips, kind of when the Tea Party first came about, and it was first brought up in a White House press briefing. That's very popular because it's embedded on several different websites. Obviously, some things that are very popular for us, and I won't even find them on here. The White House Correspondents Association dinner we've covered since the early 90s, and so every year we cover that dinner and the president and the entertainment, whether it's Conan O'Brien, Jimmy Fallon, Seth Meyers.
Sure.
We cover the entire dinner, but also the other parts of the dinner where there's scholarships and awards, which is kind of the main purpose of the dinner now. So those are some of our most popular clips.
That's great. So you've talked about being able to search by the name of the person, by the date. What if you are looking for everybody who has talked about Obamacare? Or can you search for a particular phrase?
Yes. So if we'll use Obamacare as an example. And you can see that it has been just in 303 programs, just in a title or a tag that we've given it. And then down here in timeline results, meaning based on closed captioning, it's over 3,600 results. And so again, if you're trying to narrow that down further, do you want to see someone like Romney talking about it? We can type in Romney, and that'll probably narrow it down. But again, these sometimes just take time. So here's Mitt Romney at the NAACP convention, and you could probably go in here. I've not tested this. And we're going to see if Obamacare appears in the transcripts. It appears twice. I'm just going to click on this 12-minute mark.
A capacity to deal with people who have pre-existing conditions, and I'll put that in place. And I'll also work to reform and save Medicare and Social Security. People keep talking about the fact that those programs are on the pathway to insolvency, and yet nothing gets done to fix them. I will fix them and make sure they're permanent and secure for our seniors today and for seniors tomorrow. And I'll do that in part by means testing the benefits, meaning higher benefits for lower income people and lower benefits for higher income folks.
I'll just pause it there. So there are ways. Again, if you're looking for a specific mention, you can remember, oh, didn't Romney say something about Obamacare at the NAACP convention? It's easier to find than just going through and typing in Obamacare. But sometimes you don't even know what you're looking for. You're just trying for a general topic and see, has anyone said anything about this in a certain way?
Right. And what if you're looking for a specific phrase? Like you want to find everybody who said Obamacare is going to be the death of healthcare in America, and don't type that in.
That's a very long, specific.
But I mean, how long can you get in a search, or how specific?
You know, it just depends. And I always tell people, I mean, just try it. And if it doesn't come back, I'll try this. One of our most popular clips during the campaign last year was the president at a campaign rally. You didn't build that.
So just put it in quotes.
I'm going to try this. I haven't tested this particular phrase yet, but we're going to see if that comes up. It comes up several times. Now, a lot of this is people reacting to it. I'm going to go to least recent, because I'm going to look for the first time it was mentioned. And sure enough, here it is. President Obama in Roanoke. It's never a screen you want to see. So we will click on that particular speech. And again, I will just type down here, build that. Click on that spot.
If you were successful, somebody along the line gave you some help. There was a great teacher somewhere in your life. Somebody helped to create this unbelievable American system that we had that allowed you to thrive.
Now, the funny thing about this, and part of the reason that this particular video has so many views, it's got 185,000 views, and some of the clips here in the video have more than that, 240,000 views. It wasn't so much people just, Republicans trying to find this, but it was also people who support the president showing the entire context of all his remarks. So some of these clips are longer than the others. Some are 1 minute, 3 minutes. It just really depends, and those are used in various ways. So it's actually really interesting who clips what and for what reasons. And again, it's, anyone can use it. So that's just one way that a phrase, I picked that one because I know it was extremely popular last year.
One thing I've noticed as you've been going through clips is that we haven't seen any ads. Typically, if I'm on YouTube or somewhere else on the web and I try to click on a video, the first thing I have to do is sit through a 15 or 20-second ad.
Yes.
Does that happen on C-SPAN? And if I embed your clips on my website, will people have to watch an ad first?
No. C-SPAN in all its time has never really had a commercial for a Toyota Camry or anything like that. This is a great way for me to say thank you to the cable industry. C-SPAN is not paid for by the government, no tax dollars. We are created by the cable industry, and we're funded by cable. About 6 cents of everyone's monthly cable bill goes to pay for C-SPAN, which includes this video library. The video library is actually run out of Lafayette, Indiana. It started as a partnership with Purdue University, but it is now located there. Our staff is located there for the video library. But it is all paid for by cable, and so no, there won't be a commercial for anything. If you embed something, people that play it, they will go directly to the clip they made or the entire video.
Well, that is terrific. It's very good to know.
I think we're getting more questions.
We are looking for more questions from viewers. Let's see. One viewer says, there's a clip I've been looking for of black pastors at the National Press Club. Last October, a group came out to ask black voters to not vote for Obama because he supports gays. Is that, how would we find that?
This is, as one of my colleagues would say, this is a Stump Jeremy round. So we're gonna, so we can search for this various ways. I'm gonna go to the National Press Club. Actually, I remember that Vilsack was there yesterday, and we just pulled that up. So let me find that first, because you can also just search by organization. So here's the National Press Club from yesterday, and we've tagged the National Press Club here. Actually, this is just luncheons. Hold on. We will type National Press Club. Okay. It's giving me timeline results. It's giving me this. Okay. I'm going to try to narrow this down. I apologize. Okay, we'll look at last October. I will try.
You didn't know it was going to be so pressure-filled today, did you?
No, no. I'm trying to work and also narrate what I'm doing. It's very exciting. I should really have like some theme music, but we'll leave that for another time. Okay, so National Press Club October. It looks like we've got 6 events. And I'm looking for, let's see, Latino voters, Catholic voters, book discussion, General Dempsey. Let's go to page 2. It's loading, and Arnie Duncan. So at this point, I'm not sure if we covered it. It may be in here, but I am not seeing it at this point. But that is just one way. If you know the venue, you can always search for the venue in here. We've had requests recently for people who appeared before the Senate Judiciary Committee years ago. Well, before I go looking for the person, I will sometimes just go to the committee's page that we have here. So we've covered the Senate Judiciary Committee nearly 1,000 times. And you can, again, just go by year, by Congress, and find out whether or not we covered a particular hearing on a particular day. We can't cover everything, but we do what we can. So that is, I'm sorry I couldn't find that video from October of last year, but I'm not even sure if we covered it.
Well, I will say for the person who asked this question, you might also try contacting the National Press Club, because they also retain an archive of their programs, and they might be able to find that for you.
Exactly.
And the reader says, the viewer says actually she just found it. Was it found on C-SPAN, I wonder?
Well, we're happy you found it.
Yes, we are. We are happy about that. We have another sort of comment here that the Congressional Chronicle also has a nice comparison between what was actually said based on the closed captioning compared with the congressional record. And I guess the example is John Kyle saying 90% of what Planned Parenthood does is abortion, as an example.
Yes.
I don't know if that's something that we can do through the C-SPAN library, but that is an interesting resource to know about.
It is one thing, and it's great that a lot of people use it, because they'll go find the congressional record that, you know, members enter their written remarks, but then when you compare it with the actual video and see what they said, it's something else sometimes entirely. And so we encourage people to always watch the video. And there are also times where things are entered into the record, but they didn't say it on the floor. We've had requests for senators in the past, including President Obama when he was a senator, that he entered remarks into the record, but he never actually said them on the floor. So sometimes there's just no video to support, and it's not that we didn't cover it, it's that they never said it out loud.
Interesting.
We're getting more questions.
So one viewer says the archive began in 1979 with the C-SPAN launch. Have you also archived some famous moments in political history? For example, FDR's For Freedom speech,
yes.
JFK's Ask Not What You Can...
Yes, exactly. I will say, first of all, we've digitized everything going back to 87, and then we have some videos before that. I showed the one from 79, but we don't have everything from 1979, but everything from 87 forward, essentially. But we do have John F. Kennedy. We do have archive videos, and a lot of this is thanks to American History TV, which we do every weekend on C-SPAN 3. So let's see if I can find John F. Kennedy. Here he is. So John F. Kennedy was obviously president well before C-SPAN was around, but we do have a lot of his speeches, actually 37 of his appearances. And so if we look He became president in 1961. And so here is the inauguration of John F. Kennedy. And this is probably just his speech instead of the entire ceremony.
Despite sub-freezing.
So it's a newsreel.
Now let's say that I wanted to download and embed that from the archives. Is that possible?
Yes. So again, you can embed this if you hit share. Actually, this program is not embeddable. It's probably because it's a newsreel. But you can still link to it. You can still clip it, and then downloading anytime a video is available for download. I'll just find an example. Go back to Laudenberg from yesterday. Down here on the right, we've got our share tools. We've also got purchase down here, so you can purchase a DVD or you can download it. And there's a small fee attached with that as well.
Now, what if I'm looking for something on C-SPAN? I know it's there, I know you covered it, but I just can't find it. I'm stumped. Can I call somebody?
What I would
call you?
Yeah,
Jeremy.
If people are asking for my phone number, it's a weird day. I will usually say tweet me. This is my Twitter account. It's C-SPAN Jeremy. And usually if someone sends me a tweet, and if I've got a second, which I often do, I am more than happy to try to find it for you. You can also, reporters can email me. I'd usually have them tweet me first, and then we can see if we need to email or follow up.
Now, what if you're on vacation in the Caribbean?
I'm really actually never on vacation. I'm always checking the video library, but that's not true. If I'm not there, one of my colleagues can usually help out. So, yes, the staff in Indiana, you can also go here to the About section, and there are contact numbers on here that you can contact the staff in Indiana. They tend to know a lot more of the technical stuff, but if you're looking for a quick clip, you can just usually send me a tweet at C-SPAN Jeremy, and I'll see if I can help you out. Now, I'm not just assigned projects, so if you were looking for 55 different clips of presidents saying something about Medicare, you might be on your own, but if you're looking for one specific clip, I'm usually more than willing to help, but I'm not going to dedicate 2 weeks worth of, graduate student time just so you don't have to do it.
Right.
So it's on a, we kind of play it by ear when it comes to helping people out, but I'm more than happy to help. We're seeing if there's other questions.
That's great. Okay. Someone is asking for your email as well. Did you already give that?
I have not given that, but I can give it. It is very simple. It's jart, J-A-R-T, at cspan, c-span.org. jart at cspan.org.
Okay, JART at C-SPAN.
Yes, JART's an unfortunate nickname, but it
works.
There are worse.
Okay. We don't have any more questions right now. Is there anything else that you think we should know about searching the archive, embedding, using the archive?
I will say that the more time you spend in here, the easier it is to navigate around. So I wouldn't put this off as when I finally need to write that one story or something, you never know when you're going to need something and how quickly you're going to need it. So I would say go in here and just explore. Try to find, see who you can find, what you can find, and just practice clipping. Create an account, and so when something comes up and you need to find something quickly, and I might be on vacation, you can find it quickly. You're not putting yourself in too much pressure having not practiced it. I'm in the video library every single day and just working just on my kind of skills of using it. But it just the more you use it, the better you get at it. There is a blog, so any updates or interesting things, I'm going again on Vice President Biden's eulogies. Dr. Browning, who's really runs the video library, did a blog post yesterday because there was a lot of Twitter chatter about his eulogy and has he done it before? And sure enough, he has. So he did several that C-SPAN recorded when he was a senator, for Strom Thurmond, for William Roth, for Tom Lantos, and then for Senator Pell. But as Vice President, he's done even more, and so each one of these is linked to the video of that particular funeral service and just his eulogy. So that actually came in handy because so many people enjoyed his eulogy yesterday. They want to go find more. Well, rather than us just saying, well, good luck finding it, we found, or really Dr. Browning found, all these eulogies that they can see in their spare time.
Well, here's another question about licensing fees. Is there ever a licensing fee for anything from C-SPAN? When might they apply? What about fair use?
Yes, so over here on the right, I clicked on the About tab, and over here it says Contact Us, and it's got the licensing request form. So we're going to zoom in on that, okay? I won't get into specifics, mainly because I don't know every single answer, but they do handle it on a case-by-case basis. But it's really, I mean, you have to go through the form, you have to talk with them and see how it's used. So obviously, C-SPAN's been used in movies, that's been fine, but you'll just have to go there, fill out the form, and talk with the folks in Indiana. I don't want to get into specifics on that because I'm not a lawyer and I don't deal with the licensing, but that's where you go to do it.
Well, that's great. Now, it seems to me if I am a regional reporter, for example, or if I'm not even in Washington, but I'm covering a state, my delegation, I could use this archive. I could search for my own representatives, and so that if I missed something, I could always find out what they've done in the last couple of days, what they've said on the floor. What about congressional hearings? Does C-SPAN cover everything or selected hearings?
We don't cover everything. Now, so C-SPAN doesn't cover everything. It's just impossible for us to do that, but we cover what we can. And so that might be 8 to 10 hearings in a given day, and you can then find that. I'll use one just for something that's very specific to a state. The House welcomed a new member yesterday into the House. It was a special election in Missouri. And so part of what we did first, I will just go to C-SPAN's main Twitter account. And here's a picture. So Jason Smith was sworn in yesterday to the House of Representatives. It was at 5:26 p.m. So if I go to the video library, and I'm going to go to the Congressional Chronicle, I'm going to go to yesterday, we're still in March, go to June, yesterday was the 5th, we'll go to the House, I'll do the House session, and then I will try to say, we'll just type in Jason. Here's swearing in of Honorable Jason Smith. We'll click on that.
Without objection, the word. Will Representative-elect Smith and the Missouri delegation please present themselves in the well of the House? And will all members please rise? And will Representative-elect Smith please raise his right hand? Do you solemnly swear that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic? That you will bear true faith and allegiance to the same? That you take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion? That you will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which you are about to enter, so help you God. Congratulations, you're now a member of the 113th Congress.
So that might not be something that someone in California or New York cares about, but for people in Missouri and people in his particular district, that is somewhat newsworthy. And so if you were a reporter there, you might, after having covered the campaign, the election, everything, might just want to clip and embed that and say, here he is now a member of Congress, and there are now 435 members in the House.
Right. Now, another viewer is asking if you can review that process of discovering which member of the House appeared the most on the floor.
Well, let's go back. This is something we always do towards the end of every congressional season. So I'm here in the Congressional Chronicle, and I'm going to click on this tab that says Members. With who's got the most appearances. Got my mic back now. So here with the House, we've got members with the most appearances. So Sheila Jackson Lee has 41. Now that's just this term of Congress, so just since January. And then the Senate below it. We can see the full member list if you want. And that'll expand it further out. Now if I go to the last Congress, I'll click up here to the 112th Congress. So we'll try to get more final numbers. Sheila Jackson Lee was not the most appearances on the floor. It was actually Ted Poe with 203. And then if you go to the Senate, you can see that Harry Reid spoke 268 times to Mitch McConnell's 223. You can also go all the way down to the very bottom once this loads and see which senators spoke on the floor the least. So I hope that answers that question.
Yeah, it's such a rich resource. You know, as a reporter, I think you could search for topics that are issues in your own state, the drought, the farm bill, electronic medical records, whatever it is that's either in your region or on your beat. You could quickly go to this archive and see what they're saying about it.
Exactly, and it's not always just, you know, the Justice Department or things that you would expect. There are farm hearings. We had a hearing this week on wind patterns, which kind of doesn't sound like, you know, the IRS, but obviously with the tornadoes in Oklahoma, all sorts of people, especially from the Weather Channel, were testifying on wind patterns in the U.S., and now we're in hurricane season. So it is funny if you just went in here and searched for wind or tornadoes, how many times we've covered hearings like that in our past quarter century.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I do not see any more questions coming in. Is there anything else that you wanted to share, or have we about covered it?
I think that is very much the Basics 101. If you have any questions, feel free to send me an email or tweet me again at C-SPAN Jeremy. I'm more than happy to help. I very much enjoy doing this. There's all sorts of fun stuff in here from comedians. You can search and see every time Jon Stewart's been in the video library and things like that. So I would just say explore it, have fun, and if you have questions, let us know.
All right. Great advice. Thank you all so much for joining us. You can learn about our upcoming webinars by signing up to receive our twice-a-month newsletter. You can do that by going to our website, www.nationalpress.org. Navigate back there and type your email address into the box that's in the social media section of our homepage. And if you found today's program useful, you can show us your appreciation by clicking on the box right below that sign up, which is labeled Donate to NPF. We really appreciate all your support as we work to make good journalists better. Thanks so much.
Thank you.